All right, we're live on the internet again, Board.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to have you here. And today we're going to talk about creating a product configurator from scratch. So we've done this sort of things before, but today we're going to basically put our new assistant to the test a bit.
Yep.
Trying it out, see if it can provide the same structure that we would have gone for.
Mm-hmm. And of course, that will be an interesting challenge. And let's just start with, for those that aren't aware, Flare is an AI service on top of Crystallize. It's providing different skills like generic help, or you can generate queries. You can do data modeling. And you can also generate the content, and we will soon also launch the skill that you can actually launch your storefront, more in the sense of building a custom accelerator with the plumbing and scaffolding tailored to your data model. But let's start with the the context. So here's an example of Sweef is one of our customers, and here you can configure and build sofas in this case, custom products. So this is an example of what we mean with a configurable product. It has different options and configurations that in the end also affect the price, right? So it's this how can you mix and match, and
often also what we call a composable product, because it often is one base and then you have lots of different options that you can put on that base.
Yeah. And a more comprehensive example is with Mercedes, where you have a lot of more rules, like you can only select this if and this requires that, cannot be used in combination with rules like this. And here it's, I think it's about 1 billion combinations per car model. So that is what we're talking about when we are talking product configurators and Crystallize, because both of these are very different in terms of how the data model is structured. Before we jump on some data modeling in Flare, Flare is built on the MCP server in Crystallize, which means that you can access the skills and the capabilities, and you can connect this directly to Claude or VS Code or however you prefer to develop. But we have already done that in this context, where we have connected all of the Crystallize skills and MCP server to Flare. So it's easy to get up and running. We can start with just describing what we want to achieve, right? There's a new capability here, by the way, that you can add a URL, and it will do research and build a model that mimics an existing site. That is quite useful skill, but that's a story for another day in terms of demoing. But let's use what we have
what we know.
What we know.
Which is another type of composable product. In this case, we'll always, as always, use a pizza, because here we have the base.
And now I actually know what I'm going to have for lunch.
You're gonna have pizza. It was a topic for earlier. But the general idea is that pizza can come in different combinations. You have a base model, which often is the bun. What kind of bun do you use? Is it Italian? Is it an American? Is it thin? Is it thick? There's also something called pan pizza. So many different bases. And of course, on top of that, you do you. It's preferences, what you like. So you can choose between different meats, cheese, people know what a pizza is, but at least it's what we define as a composable product. It's a lot of different variants that would be a lot of work to click up if you were to create all unique types of pizza.
Yeah, and the context here is to basically have a model, right? So you have a small or large pizza, which will be a base or a product variant, depending on how you want to do your model. And you can have some presets. You can say this has mushroom and pepperoni and mozzarella. And you can also define then add-ons or options so that you can basically configure the pizza for your taste. And what we have gotten here now, so this was from the simple prompt that we just gave to Flare. We have let's start first of all a folder called pizza menu, which is where you could place all of your pizzas. And then we have a product ingredient. That's okay. We see that ingredient has a single line for allergens. Yeah, you could do it like that. And we have here, and this is a clue, right? With a configurator, you typically want to give some pre-selected options and customization options. So common is to have components like included, optional, and you can, in addition, also have on the ingredient cannot be combined with, for example, so that if you choose a white sauce, you cannot also choose a red sauce, for example. But in this case, we have defined that we have included ingredients and optional ingredients, which means that the customer will then be able to purchase the pizza the way it's configured with all the included ingredients, but can add options. And of course, if you want, you could also in the front end allow for removing the included ingredients if you would like to, for example, remove the cheese of the pizza, which makes no sense at all. We also see that it generated a variant story where you define the size, the crust type, and diameter, and how many people it serves. That's okay. I'm not too sure about these allergens, Didrik.
At least it's that's also why I call it the third best content modeler on Crystallize that I know. It does some mistakes sometimes, so it also.
Well, is it a mistake? I mean, you can type in allergens.
True.
So
it's not a mistake, but it's a choice. And here I would be stricter on the semantics. And this is, once again, we talked about this before, but a classification breach that we define the allergen in a separate document and rather we just relate it into the pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's true.
what we're looking at now is the allergens that was generated here on the ingredient, and we ideally would like that to change. And here we now have allergens as an item relation, which means that you can select multiple allergens and have a nice UI. And you can also then, of course, on the allergen, you can add more information than just label eggs, for example. You can have an icon, you can have a description, you can add any type of additional storytelling that you would like.
Yeah.
All right.
Of course, one of the benefits that we often say is that you only have to describe the allergen once instead of on each pizza.
Yeah, and also with translations, things like this, you will translate it and manage the content one place. So I think this is definitely a nice extension to the model. We might want to, usually when you're working with food, you usually supply nutritional information. So let's see if we can do another iteration. And this is what we're talking about when you're using Flare or an agent to support you in data modeling. Is this it's not necessarily that you one-shot the correct model, but that you can use to iterate and to see the suggestions and customize it further.
And to be fair, it often gets it right. But it's always about the preferences as well and what fits your use case the best in a lot of cases. Let's see what it does now. Now we're adding nutritional values.
Yeah, I add nutritional information to the ingredients. That's what I asked for. And basically, I'll just move things around here. So we see that it actually created nutritional information as a piece, which is that's a good pattern, which means that you can use it in other other shapes. In this case, I'll just move it down here. It's being used on the ingredient. So under allergens, we see that we have here serving size, calories, total fat, sugar, etc., which is totally fine. I think this is a good way of semantically describing nutritional information, rather than having we've seen models where you use like text areas for describing that, but then you don't have the semantic information. And once you have this, you can do more logic after the fact, basically.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. More. The more you know. All right. I see that it's added extra price label. Please remove the extra price label. Because I don't think we need that. Might be useful for some cases, but since we have the ingredient and the quantity, basically in here it's just pieces or units. You have the prices from the product, so that's what will add up to the configuration.
And another, because like you see, both of the included ingredients are two types of chunks. So here we could potentially also add a boolean is included in the total price, or not the total price, sorry, but the base price, which would be then the pizza.
Exactly. That could be an alternative model.
Yeah. So this is, of course, a way to create a pizza configurator, so you can click it up inside of Crystallize to define your pizzas.
Yeah. And once you're happy with this, and this model here will work as so you have a pre-configured pizza that you can customize with add-ons in this case, or you could also, if you want to, in the front end also remove the already included ingredients so that you can customize it. And what we could also add is ingredient, like a relation to an ingredient that it excludes another ingredient, or cannot be used in combination with. We can describe something like that. Let's see how that works. So I haven't tested. Let's add relation component to ingredient that defines cannot be combined with. That's a long
it's a long pro. So
not combined with is probably better, right? Not combined with. The English of the label is not the point here.
It is not. And then personal preference, as an example, pineapple, not to be combined with pizza in general.
Oh, I totally disagree.
Yeah,
I'm going to get the pepperoni pizza with the pineapple after this live stream.
In my shop, it wouldn't be allowed.
But it's good that the shop we're going to start will be a smash burger joint.
True. That is true.
That is already planned out.
It is. Yeah, I moved us over the input field again. Let's see how it works.
Yeah, and again, the way it works is that it's loading loading the skills and using the MCP. And here we can see that we added a not combined with, which is a flaky name of the label. If you come up with something better, let me know. And it's a item relation to itself, so it's self-referring. So I think that's good. Let's say that we're happy with the model now, and what is also being generated is the mass operations file, right? So this is instructions to Crystallize to create or update shapes. So what I can do here, first of all, I can configure it further with defining language settings and also defining how content validation should work if we want to fine-tune that. But I'm just going to leave it default and deploy this to my tenant. And now this has been deployed. We see all operations were successful. And also we see 6 changes ready. And I can also reignite Discovery API if I want to do that. So that's kind of the process. You can either inject it straight into a tenant, or you can save the operations file, which is typically what you would do, save it in your GitHub repo and have that as the master for your data model so that you can spin up a developer environment and a production environment all at your convenience. So let me just refresh here, and we see that we have the pizza shape, we have included ingredients, we have the ingredient, we have a pizza menu, which is, yeah, would probably just have called that a folder or category, something like this. We have the allergen, and we have the ingredient. There were some shapes already here, so it's wasn't a fully clean model. And we see here we have the ingredient has the relation to allergens, accepted shape allergen. We have also not combined with, which again I still don't like that label, but I came up with it, so I have to live with it. And it's a reference to an ingredient that it cannot be combined with, for example, pepperoni and pineapple, if you don't like that. Okay, that's the gist of it. That's how you can use Flare for supporting your data model. You can very quickly experiment with different models. And once you're done with that, is of course to create your content, your information architecture, and you can also have Flare help you generate queries to fetch the data. So that's it for today. You can check out Flare already. Contact us if you need some tokens. We will do another live stream next Thursday. I'm curious what the topic will be, so if you're also curious, you can like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah. I forgot my keyboard.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.